Hello and welcome to Sci-Fi-Night. I'm your host, Sebastian Vendel Martinez, and this is the show where we take a look at some of the lesser-known sci-fi and horror movies out there and try to find the right expectations needed to get the most out of them. So, I really hate it when good directors and original ideas just don't succeed. The 2009 film Pandorum is directed by German Christian Albert, who showed promise with his two previous films, Case 39 and Antikörper. Pandorum stars a little bit of Dennis Quaid, but thankfully much more of Ben Foster.
Just get the fucking light out of my eyes. Sorry, sir.
It's also got a good supporting cast in the form of Antje Traue, Cam Gigante, and MMA star Kung Lee, the only name of those three I actually pronounced correctly. So an interesting fact is that this was originally supposed to be the first of a trilogy, but unfortunately this cool original idea wasn't that interesting and it bombed at the box office. The movie is set in the future where humans have been forced to leave Earth due to the planet falling apart from pollution. They set course for a habitable planet, but one of the officers wakes up from deep sleep and realizes that something has gone horribly wrong on the ship. Creatures lurk in the dark, picking off a few humans that seem to be alive, and it's up to Ben Foster to figure out what's going on. So, right off the bat, this film kind of reminds me of Event Horizon, which is a good thing, and it seems to have Event Horizon's dark gothic design down to a T, which is definitely a good thing. The difference though is the feeling of claustrophobia, which is really strong and adds a lot of atmosphere to Pandorum. It actually managed to build upon the madness of space and isolation in a better way than Event Horizon did, and the action scenes are pretty exciting and at times brutal, even if the shaky cam can get a bit strong for my tastes. But let's be clear though, this isn't like a Michael Bay film because you can actually tell what the hell is going on in these scenes. The film doesn't really stray very far outside the mold in terms of character types, but I like the fact that our protagonist is very vulnerable and even gets his ass kicked a couple times.
Fucking kidding me.
It makes his strong resolve that much more impressive, and it also adds a lot of tension as he seems to be constantly in danger. Besides, it's nice to have a more relatable and realistic protagonist as opposed to just a walking testosterone package of a man. And the fact that we have a strong female supporting character that isn't just a damsel in distress is definitely a plus as well.
Who are you?
Nobody.
I need you to show me the way.
To the reactor? Don't like going that far down. No one ever comes back.
So, you guys know the drill. What should you expect from this movie? Sci-fi horror at its most fun. Sure, there's better sci-fi horror out there. I mean, this is never gonna beat Alien or The Thing, but when it comes to sci-fi horror, this is great stuff. It's a little bit similar to Event Horizon, Sunshine, and those kinds of films, in that, despite some production problems, they are still quality films. Fans of the genre will do well with this underrated and underappreciated fun flick.
I understand that it's felt like every man for himself. We're going to get out of a little fucking solidarity goes a long way.
Great atmosphere. So this film doesn't beat out The Descent in terms of claustrophobia, but it sure does a great job at creating atmosphere and giving off a feeling of maddening isolation, while at the same time making you suspect every shadow and sound. Also, you can tell that director Christian Albert was passionate about this project, even to the point where he cast his own daughter as one of the baby monsters. The film has great cinematography, great direction, and of course the actors do a good job. Even Dennis Quaid.
I figured you'd tell me.
Overall, it makes for great atmosphere, and the world that they've created feels very unique and well constructed.
They come after you, you run. You run and you don't fucking look back. I can't wait for you.
Cool monsters. I'm a huge fan of monster movies. I mean, well, obviously, I started this channel. And while these mutated golem-like creatures are hardly the most original monsters, they're shot and played very well. They give off a real menacing feeling, and the fact that it takes several humans just to defeat one of them makes them seem like a real menacing threat. In addition to the way that they're being talked about and built up. So if you're a sci-fi fan and you haven't seen this, go and do so already. I mean, sure, it's not an instant classic, but it's a very fun and very entertaining film that's well shot and directed. And at the end of the day, isn't it all we need sometimes? Overall, I really like this film. It's all round solid and I don't really have a whole lot of complaints. I mean, sure, it's not the most cerebral sci-fi, though it without a doubt presents some interesting ideas and concepts, such as the made-up psychological disease Pandorum, which is caused by being in space for prolonged periods of time.
Orbital dysfunctional syndrome, Pandorum. I've seen it before. Ever witnessed the symptoms firsthand? It's not something you can easily detect. It starts with a shiver, an itch, a slow boil. The biological side effects of flying deep space feeding into paranoia, and the paranoid brain feeding the side effects.
The ending might piss some people off, but personally I liked it. I really dug that they didn't opt for some big cliche boss battle, but rather something a bit more interesting. So that does it for this episode of Sci-Fi-Night. We hope you enjoyed it. And you should, as always, go to the comment section below to let us know what you thought of this episode, the movie Pandorum, and what kind of movies you want to see brought up here in the future. I'm your host, Sebastian Vandel Martinez, and we'll catch you guys next time.